3, 2, 1, lift off.
Yay! Forgot there are 5 chickens in existence.
Give me a moment here.
Alrighty.
No moments.
Dun, 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 dun. And everyone suddenly has their VODs muted. Can I go ahead and say the intros? Or are you good?
Go for it.
You're asleep, Cole.
Oh, am I?
Uh-huh.
Yes, we're still asleep.
Okay.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to this 25th session of In the Demon's Grasp. When last we left off, we had switched over to our higher level characters for the campaign, who had just had an interesting dream slash nightmare slash vision slash insert various ideas here, as nobody really knows for sure what's going on. Everyone remained asleep except for Mistral and Bannock, who had awoken with a start when supposedly in the dream everyone had fallen, died, had a little out of body experience. Uh, Mistral had contacted Bannock through telepathy, I believe.
Yes.
And Bannock needed just a moment to compose himself as some stuff happened in the dream that kind of shooketh them both. And Mistral had requested that Bannock come up to the lab for a discussion on what happened as everyone else remained asleep and only those two had awoken. So we will pick up there if that's all right with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, it's not okay.
So take it away, you two.
Okay. So Mistral would have headed pretty much straight to the lab. And was just kind of sitting at the desk, scribbling madly as much as she can remember. And waiting for Bannock to come up. Bannock needed a few moments.
Yep. And yeah, I'll make my way up the stairs and give a knock on the door.
Come in.
Slowly push the door open, kind of slightly like grabbing my head a little bit as if I have had a headache for quite some time. I don't even know if I want to talk about it, but we should.
We should at least compare notes.
We should, yes. It is stupid for us to simply pretend that none of this happened when it clearly could have some ramifications.
Yes, that was worrying, to say the least. Mistral's going to kind of look over Bannock for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
and if she sees anything even remotely out of place, she's going to prestidigitation to kind of like fix him up a little bit.
Disheveled from having just woken up, but
Right.
it's up to him on what he took care of before
Mm-hmm.
he made his way up.
Thank you for the
Yeah,
There's
if there's
definitely
any-
no blood
79
dripping or
months.
anything.
Right. If there's anything that's still not
What did
quite
Orko
right,
want
that
him
doesn't
to be
look like
Second
he's
General
fully settled, like if
Samus
there's like
Will
some
or
hair that's not like cleanly brushed or something, she's gonna prestidigitation that.
Alrighty.
And she's just kind of looking at him and watching him for signs of if he's okay.
Yeah, he's just kind of looking just stressed more than anything else.
Okay.
Gonna
So
compare notes?
Yeah, Mistral is going to kind of bring up almost immediately the flash of blue light and the fact that were we chasing a blue fairy?
something. Oh, it's some kind of creature that's. I almost want to say it was a fairy, but I'm not 100% certain anymore.
Right, and the creature that was holding it, that was an orthon, was it not?
Yeah, and it just. I've not seen a beast like that in many a time.
I can't think of why we would even have reason to encounter an orthon.
It's strange. It feels completely out of place and just not what I would expect.
But yes, I'm still very confused.
Just as
We
a reminder, so people watching can kind of remember here. That would
Okay, I can
be
continue
the
talking.
orthon. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Um Sorry, I was in the middle of a thought.
Sorry.
So Mistral is going to kind of resume talking. Um so it seemed like we I'm not certain where I was before the combat, but it seemed like we were involved in the combat, but I still can't quite grasp how it started.
And it seemed like we almost were there in the middle of it. Like something had happened, and then suddenly it was
Right.
combat. Like we were fighting this creature, and there was little reason, little understanding of why we were there, what had sprung up, and it felt
Cole was
sudden.
it did seem sudden, and Cole was very badly hurt. And for the first thing that he did as soon as Arlen brought him back up was go chasing after that orthon, saying we needed to get it back.
I
I'm
don't
I'm
even know why we would be chasing such a creature.
I can only imagine he meant the fairy.
Must have been, yeah. It's the only thing I could think of was, yeah, if we were the fairy, and oh god,
And
oh, I can't believe what happened to that creature.
it's awful. I mean, we gave a very good chase, but
It felt almost useless. Like, why were
it
we doing that?
it felt like we were being toyed with.
It did, and like, why the fairy? What was the importance of the fairy? I don't.
And what was that muttering? Because the orthon muttered something.
I could not understand it, and good lord, I speak. Good gods, I speak abyssal. I know undercommon, I know draconic, and it was none of those.
Uh, DM, just as a reminder,
Uh-huh.
it was infernal, was it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which Mistral
Yes.
knows. Okay, so well, it was infernal actually, and I did understand it.
This is why I've always had you around, Mistrals. We've always worked so well together, cover each other's
We cover each other's
weaknesses.
weaknesses, yes.
Inferno was never a tongue I could wrap my head around. Just too complex.
Yes, well, it even knowing what it said, I still can't quite make sense of what it was. It feels like it must have been part of some sort of enchantment almost, because he had said something about blood spilled, power instilled, one more life to the ring fulfilled. And that was when we were fighting him.
A sacrifice of some sort,
Sacrifice
presumably.
of some sort, but there was a ring. I Do you recall a ring?
Vaguely, but
Okay.
nothing too much.
Hmm. And then later, before I'm still kind of parsing that explosion that happened. Um, but when when he crushed that poor fairy, he said something else. He said, "To the next, our gift of will."
Our gift of will. Our gift of will.
To the next.
To the next. As if something he was doing it because something else was coming or something
Right.
larger.
So something was coming behind him almost.
Good grief! I would not want to know what is controlling an Orthon.
No.
That is too much. And God, there are too many evil names that could be behind this, and
Right, and
I
the
sincerely hope it is none of them.
right, and in addition to the poor fairy, the Orthon also had Hell Wasp with him, which is quite interesting. Had them in some kind of cage that miniaturized them,
Hmm.
and they came back out full sized. I've heard of such things before, of course.
Yes,
They're certainly not common.
maybe someone who had means to acquire such a cage.
Yes.
Must do not come easy or cheap.
And then thinking about the cage, Mistral is going to look into her bag of holding.
Uh-huh.
She's going to attempt because she recalls storing a cage, or at least manacles, and she's going to try to pull one out.
I think you did get the non-magical cage.
Okay. You envision this thing that's still pretty clear in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You reach into the bag and you grasp, and you can't seem to find or feel a grasp of whatever it is you're trying to envision.
Okay, that's one worry out of the way at least. And Mistral will explain what she's doing to Bannock if Bannock is
Mm-hmm.
confused
you
at all. Be like, okay, the item that I obtained there does not seem to be on our person, so that's good.
and you can remove it from your character sheet.
Woo! Okay. All right.
Is there any chance that we'd start waking up at this point?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Mistral would, after doing that, um kind of bring up that it almost seemed like at the end there when the explosion happened. It happened so quickly. I know you fell and we didn't even have time to reach you
Mm-hmm.
before that blue light happened. But then we seem to be viewing it from outside of ourselves.
That
And
was probably the most bizarre of all of it, as if
and when we
yeah,
looked down on ourselves, I didn't see my face. I didn't recognize myself.
that's not good.
So
I don't know.
as you two were talking, uh, just kind of on the back of your neck, as you two are up there talking, discussing this, you feel a little tingle, as like the wisp of your hairs are kind of, prickling and everything else as you're talking about this stuff. Uh, Outside your western window, as you two are talking, Bannock doesn't seem to notice. However, you do, Mistral. In the distance, kind of quite a ways out, you see what appears to be a hazy shimmer, kind of like the heat coming up off of, a hot rock or something, uh, kind of waving in the air that's kind of distorting the clouds in the distance and the ocean and everything that's like out the southern side of your building as well. You start to see this haze and doesn't really seem too odd at first, but as your hairs start to like stand on end, you do notice that it's got a somewhat blue hue to it.
Mistral will immediately turn Bannock's attention to it.
You look out the window and you see this blue kind of hazy wall. And both of you still having discussed this and talked about it, and it's so fresh in your memory. The color looks extremely familiar. You recognize that hue perfectly from the flash of light that had expanded out in your out of body experience before you
Oh
awoke.
Where is that
no.
focus,
Oh
Bannock?
no.
Where is that?
And it's moving steadily closer. It's still in the distance out over the water. You do see it passing by birds and everything, the seagulls and all of that that are flying out and over and going the waves. And it seems to pass through the waves. It's not making splashes as it's moving across the surface of the water.
This seems bad.
Mistral is going to ready a counterspell.
Okay. And
May
as
not
you're look
do anything, but she's going to try.
and as you look out the westward window, you kind of look around as things are kind of tingling more, and you look out the south window, and it seems as if it's kind of a circular wall heading
It's, en-
towards you that way,
it's enclosing.
and it's getting closer. And as it gets closer, it appears to be moving faster. But you're smart enough to know that it doesn't seem like it's actually moving faster. It's just getting closer to you.
Right.
And you see it come up over the land just to the southwest of you and looking out towards the mountaintops and everything to the west. You see it there as well. Looking eastward, though, you still don't quite see this wall or anything. It's definitely west and south.
Huh.
It's
Okay.
growing ever closer.
So
And
it's coming from the coastline almost.
yes,
Okay.
it's moving. As it gets closer, it's definitely more of a blue hue. It looks rather opaque instead of transparent. As it passes by things, you notice that you can't really see well what's on the other side of it. It pulses. Then you start to hear a low hum sound as it gets closer still. Because of its opaqueness and your inability to see behind it, it's getting really hard to determine just how far away it is. And beyond seeing it move across the ground and seeing the ground disappear behind it, you can't really tell the distance to it. And as you're looking there and you have this counter spell ready, you cast it as you think it's close enough to be within range of your spell,
Hmm.
but the wall still continues forward.
Okay.
And almost in an instant, because of how quickly this wall is actually moving, you see the opaqueness of it pass through the wall of your tower, through you, and out the northeastern wall as it just passes through the tower. Cole, Adeline, and Erlyn, all the names. You awaken with a start
Whoa.
as you feel like you can't breathe. Have you ever had one of those moments where you wake up and you still have that
Mm-hmm.
moment of panic and you feel like you can't breathe?
Mm-hmm.
You just awaken to that. Bannock and Mistral up there awake just as this wall passes by. You can't breathe and you feel all magic leave your body.
I was going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was going to say that Mistral was going to hold her breath when it looked like the wall was coming for her.
That's fine.
Okay.
You
Because you
feel,
can hold your breath, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So that happens for a moment. A moment later, you hear a whoosh of air as air rushes to fill in this vacuum that seems to have been created behind this wall as it was moving. And you can breathe again. Those who just woke up, it was an instant and it's over.
What time of day is it?
It is part way through the morning, but slightly before y'all would normally have woken up for the day.
So Cole would be an early riser, probably normally getting up like with the sun type of thing.
Well, the sun had just barely started to rise, so there you go.
Okay. So
You
about
woke
his
up
normal time.
almost right on time
Oh,
because they had been talking for a bit.
okay.
Mhm.
Cole would get up,
Mistral,
stretch, do a little scratch. Then probably
Mistral,
head to the kitchen.
Bannock, Erlyn, and Adeline, though Adeline isn't here, and Cole, all of your spell slots have been used for the day.
Oh,
Okay.
The shrub that was in your room there,
Okay.
Cole, as you awaken and cough, has slid to the floor quite limp.
oh.
I'm going to mark off my spell slots.
Yep, same.
Above board,
Yeah.
this feels like a magical EMP.
Was that everybody?
Everybody,
Everybody.
Bannock included.
Yep, everyone.
Ivy?
Do I
Ivy, are you alright?
Does it feel like any of our magical items have changed?
It does. You're not really sensing much of anything from them at the moment.
Okay.
My question is, are we actually awake?
Have I ruined your thoughts about this campaign?
Yes.
Well, you do have a habit of making us have weird dreams when we're not actually awake.
It's D&D. The DM was always going to be questioned and told
That's
no.
true. I mean, you're pretty sure you're awake.
Does the shrub respond to me at all?
No.
Ivy. I'm gonna lay it in my bed.
Okay. Yeah, everything, you, Mistral, having been doing all this research on magic stuff and the elements and everything in your lab just kind of suddenly feels and looks dim. The hum of, some of your experiments that you had going on just kind of,
Mistral is immediately running to observe the lightning rod and a little bit of lightning that usually runs through it.
yeah, it is not there at the moment.
Okay.
And you just feel, I don't know if anybody, well, I'm sure everybody's been without power, where you
Yeah.
go from having all that background noise and everything to just dead silence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're getting magic wise. And just as you're there looking at your machine, looking for that lightning, it kind of zaps and restarts itself, and the room kind of starts to hum again, and your little potion brewing setup starts to smoke a little bit again and glow. Your magic items, you get the sense that they're kicking back in. The shrubs stand back up and start going around as if nothing happened. and the world continues on.
Okay, I was in the
I have
process
a-
of knocking on the tree between mine and Erlen.
I have a question.
I also have a question.
Oh,
Ask away.
You said all of our spell slots have been expended. Are all of our features also expended?
No.
Okay, so if we have spells that we can do as part of a feature, those are still available?
Yes.
And we can do cantrips, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
What
That was
if
gonna
they're part?
answer
What
my
if?
question.
What if the spells are part of an item?
The items appear to be kicking back on, is what he
Yeah.
was saying.
So, like,
Yep.
I can cast Healing Word through the staff.
Yep.
Okay.
Just there for a moment.
And Cole, you don't have to knock on the door. I thought we said that it was just we let each other through.
Oh, okay.
Y'all are friendly enough.
So Bannock is gonna very quickly, as he realizes this, will reach down and grab a pillow and smush his face into it for a second, and
Erlen,
then he'll kind of like, is there a mirror or anything anywhere around here? Just to kind of.
Yes, there would be a
Alright,
reflective
gonna-
surface in here.
He's gonna glance very quickly over at the mirror as everything kind of hums back on, and see he's got beautiful blue eyes. Kind of drop the pillow and pretend like nothing happened. As he notices Mistral is distracted.
Yep, I'm assuming you would have done that as soon as Mistral was focused on the lightning rod.
Yes.
So yes,
Yep.
everything happened, and then for a really long moment, nothing happened, and now everything
And
seems back to normal,
out of character to the other
except for spell
players.
slots.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything more about that.
Yeah.
I have my reasons. Too
You're
bad. Hashtag deal with it.
Erlen, did you feel that?
What was that? It felt like I was suffocating, and then, like, my magic was gone.
Same. I'm going to try and cast any spell. A normal healing word.
You cannot muster the magic to cast a spell.
I can't
Now,
cast magic.
I will say, Erlen, as you awoke, seeing and having that feeling like you can't breathe, Iris laying next to you, I'm sure you snuggle when you sleep,
Yes, I do.
definitely seemed distressed at the same time as you awoke.
Yeah, Iris didn't like that either. And I'll just, like, be petting her and trying to calm her down.
Iris is definitely anxious, and I do apologize to other people right now. Althemia is currently in the process of working on a move, so she wasn't able to join us today. So, for the most part, I will say Adeline did have the same thing going on, but she will stay in her room right now because I'm not sure how Althemia would play Adeline. So we will catch up on that in the future.
Would Blink Puppers have had the same reaction as
Yes.
Iris? Okay. Because Adeline has a Blink Puppers. She has a Blink
I
bug.
also have a feeling that if Blink Pupper could speak, Blink Pupper would not have been able to blink in that moment.
Yep. And I think we've also said that Iris is a Faebun, correct?
Hmm.
Okay.
Not the ones that meow though.
Are you sure? We've canonically already said that in this campaign.
So Mistral will immediately, observing that magic seems to have turned back on as it will,
Hmm.
attempt to use some of her sorcery points to regain spell slots.
You can do so.
Okay.
My shrub ivy went limp for a minute there.
Yeah, Ivy
How's
seems
she
quite
doing
content
now?
laying in there, lifting up one of its little branches there and kind of setting up like someone would, with their elbow on it and their head on top of their hand, just looking at you. Except it's a shrub.
Mm-hmm. Ivy, as soon as it woke up, would have gone back over to its post by the door.
Yeah.
Just to be.
Mistral will
Seems
send a
fine
message in the direction of the bottom of the tower,
Okay.
which is a cantrip. And we'll try to just catch any of the people down there in the bottom of the tower, in the bottom floor. And be like, "Are you all right? Magic seemed to have gone offline for a moment."
You know where pretty much everyone is as far as, where they sleep and everything. So anyone you want to hear it, especially since it's a cantrip and you can do it multiple times if you so desire, you
Can
can
we
have
answer back?
Yeah.
Yes, you can reply to this message.
We're good. Got the wind knocked out of us a little bit. My shrub
Shh.
stopped. What happened?
Should
Not
we meet
sure.
in the meditation room?
I was going to say the sitting room, but meditation works. It's also about time for breakfast.
I'll
I'm
get
just
that
gonna-
started. And I'll go out and start heading over to the kitchen area.
I'm going to with Iris. I'm bringing Iris with me because she's
Okay.
way too fussed right now. I'll bring her up to the sitting room or to the
when you built
meditation
the
room.
tower, you built it in such a way that message will get through the floors.
Yeah. Well, that or I just direct it outside the building to go through the bottom. It's just walls
I
that
go
block
up
it.
to
There
the
are openings.
meditation room with Iris.
Hey, Firedale.
Yes.
Can we rename this shrub Ivy?
I don't know. Give me just a moment, and we can.
This one will be like my personal
generic.
assistant.
Yeah, pretty much I made a character named Shrub
Yep.
and had them all that.
Gotcha.
So there you go.
Okay.
Ivy has been fixed.
So
You woke up to the door. The sun is rising. You hear a quiet cock-a-doodle-doo from beyond the doors. Everyone upstairs hears the cock-a-doodle-doo as Cole's chickens decide to ring in the morning as well.
So Ivy's going to start plucking some herbs, and I'm going to gather some eggs from the chickens.
There
Good
are 5 eggs.
morning. Bring them back out, and I'm going to whip up some eggs Benedict.
Eggs Bannock.
Eggs Bannock?
So for the sake
Sure,
of
eggs Bannock.
housekeeping, yeah, for
This
the
is
sake of
Bannock's
housekeeping, I
favorite.
burned 5 of my 10 sorcery points to regain 1 first level spell slot in 1 second.
Alrighty.
And
So
as soon as it's
time
ready,
passes. Breakfast gets made. Everyone meets up in the sitting room or the dining room.
Start moving here. We could
Alright.
set up in either.
breakfast
if-
is served.
Yeah, or the relaxation room.
We'll go to the meditation room since that's where
Yes.
Erlen was going.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay,
it's just down 1 floor.
Question, Firebutt.
Uh-huh.
With my harness divinity, I can do the same thing and regain a spell slot up to level 2, correct?
Yeah, to use your cleric ability.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm going to do that as well.
Yep. Nothing is preventing you from doing that.
And up to level 2, correct? So up to 2nd level spell slot?
It would be whatever your ability says.
It says up to level 2, so that would be a 2nd level
yes.
spell slot. Okay. So that means I could technically take 2 first, or is that 2 second?
If it says specifically spell slot up to level 2, then it is you can do a first or a 2nd level spell.
But I've got 2. Divine.
It doesn't say up
harness
to
divinity.
2 levels, it says up to level 2. If you have
Yeah.
2, then yes, you can do 2.
You're not getting what I mean. I have
Right.
2 harness divinities. So if I do the harness divinity twice, I can get 2 spell slots back.
Okay.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. But up to level 2, so I could choose a level 1 or a level 2.
Yes.
Correct. You just can't double dip on the same single use of harness divinity.
Yes, but if I do both, it can give me 2 slots.
Correct.
Yes.
Up to 2nd level. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm good.
All
So
right.
for yes, I did my harness divinity twice while I'm waiting.
Cole comes up, surrounded, followed by a horde of shrubs carrying everyone's breakfast.
So Cole comes up. Breakfast is ready. Fresh eggs.
Mistral will again kind of give the group a once over, checking for signs of distress. She clocks Erlen's distress pretty quickly because Iris is up here.
Iris is distressed the most right now, though. So I'm just like
Um,
petting her and trying to calm her down.
I mean, you managed to do so. You've been with Iris for a while, so I would say Iris, being a creature, is probably still a little bit bothered by having woken up unable to breathe just as much as everyone else. But unlike y'all, that can kind of process, okay, I'm okay now. Animals are a little bit more apt to panicking, so it takes a little bit longer, but you do it fine.
There's
okay.
probably incense in here, right? I would think.
Yes, I would certainly have incense.
Um, I'm going to attempt to use Druidcraft to light the incense in the room in hopes of it having a calming
That's a
effect on everyone.
cantrip, correct, right?
Yes, it is a
Yep,
cantrip.
works just fine.
Okay.
So, other than waking up to a moment of momentary panic, everything seems okay at the moment.
Oh, how'd everyone sleep?
Okay,
I
until that sudden suffocation.
Yeah, I feel like I had a dream, but I don't remember what it was, so it couldn't be all that important.
I would simply prefer to talk about other things, but continue.
Oh, all right. Like what?
No offense or anything. But yeah, perhaps we could discuss.
What that suffocation was?
what just happened.
Yes, that.
I just woke up and couldn't breathe.
And then it felt like I had no magic anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all suffered the effects of that temporary loss of magic. My magical reserves are exhausted.
Same.
I feel like I hit a brick wall.
I can only manage cantrips.
And Iris was very, very panicked. That's kind of why I have her here. I hope you don't mind, Mistral.
It's fine. Iris is as much a member of this tower as anyone else.
So what was that?
There was. I was already awake. There was some sort of blue wall that
Ooh,
closed
wall?
in from the coast, and when it passed over us, that was when that effect happened.
Oh, I didn't
A
see
blue
that.
wall?
Yes.
Give me
It's
just a
quite
moment. I'm
strange.
looking up a spell. Do okay. Go ahead.
I think we were waiting on you now, because you
Okay.
said something about a spell.
Yeah, I was looking
It
up
was
something.
it was unrelated to what we're talking about, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Or we're not supposed to know, so. But yeah, Mistral will explain that she observed the blue wall and where it was when it approached, and that everything magical seemed to go offline for a moment.
So as you all are talking, Bannock, in the back of
Yes.
your mind, you hear a person's words. You recognize the person as Elsbeth, the mayor of Novell, and the message is as follows.
Yes.
All magical energy lost. Is everything okay? Receiving messages from across the island of wall of anti-magic. Gone now, but now there's fog.
Oh,
Fuck.
no, but not there's fog.
Mistral's gonna immediately look out of one of the arched windows.
Okay, looking south over the water and west, as far as you can see over the mountain, you see a very thick, billowing wall of fog that looks like a cloud uh, off in the distance, quite a ways out over the water. Uh, you can't see beyond it. You do see the birds flying and everything else. But in the distance, you definitely see a very thick fog that seems to be kind of stagnant and settled over the ocean into the sky.
I kind of look out the window, and the first thing that comes to my mind after hearing that message is that should not be there.
You're not going to
Definitely
answer,
not.
Elsbeth?
I will.
He has a second.
Yes, I have a second.
Okay.
Takes a moment to count to 25, don't
Yes.
it?
Kind of snaps out of it and responds back. Um, Same here, minus fog. All safe?
What was that? Question mark?
Well, they don't know either.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just said anti-magic,
Yes.
which
They
we
said,
observed.
yeah, all magical energy loss, everything okay. Anti-magic fog, and like I said, basically, yeah, same here, minus fog, all safe in Novale.
Elsbeth sent the original message and you sent the response. So you don't get a response back from it.
Yes.
Because that would be a spell slot.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't give myself back a third level. I can, but I didn't.
Well, there's a
Investigate or something?
whenever you run a delivery business, you tend to have certain earrings around of sending.
Right, you have magical means of sending.
Yep.
Item-based means. Uh, Mistral is. Well, one, would Mistral have anything in her library that would be even remotely related to this that she would know about? If so, she would be consulting magical text. Otherwise, she would probably suggest that we go down into Stormvale and check on the
Check on the
people
people.
there.
Give me a knowledge arcana, so arcana check.
Okay. Just a straight arcana?
Yes.
Okay.
You can give the plus for your proficiency. So yeah, just straight arcana. How you've got it.
Yeah, I am not proficient, so
Okay. Then yeah, straight arcana.
Should I as well, since I would have been reading through most of the books in our library?
probably. That was a very bad roll.
Can I try and give a roll too, Firebutt?
You can. Because it's your library minstrel, go ahead and
Mhm.
make it with advantage.
Okay. That was why I was
Yep,
asking.
I'm not. I'm not knowing anything.
That's a 16 now.
Sorry, Cole, you don't know anything about the book.
Yeah, because I was like, huh, I don't know what's in my library. Okay. Sure. Maybe new books got delivered. I don't know.
In your travels,
And probably about like handling animals and
it,
nope.
in your travels, you did come across a book that seemed rather old. That was from an old researcher that was actually discussing something about a fog, but as it was written in the book, it was something in the future that was going to happen, as people tend to do before things happen. So you do remember that you have but because it being something about fog and mystical that way, and you being about researching air and the elements and everything else,
Hmm.
that's something that you definitely went out of your way to procure.
Obtain, yeah.
And you pretty much know where it is, and so you can pull out the book. So, what would you like to look in the book for, or give me some specifics about what you're actually looking for in this book?
For
You
this
just,
immediate moment, I would either be looking for something about the wall or the fog.
I have a question for clarification.
uh-huh.
You said the book was written like it was written that it would happen in the future, kind of like premonition wise.
Yeah, it was a researcher that had found an artifact in some unknown part of the world. A
And
lot of
said,
it
oh,
has
this.
been,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of it has kind of been obscured over time, scratched out or just faded and everything else. But this is such a specific thing of like a surrounding fog that's definitely unnatural that it was a very obvious thing of, wait, I do actually have a book that's something kind of like that.
I could see Mistral just like not saying anything, dashing downstairs, finding the book, and then just coming back silently and just plop down and
Yeah,
read.
she's probably like not even looking at where she's going when she's coming back. Her nose is already in that. She's just kind of walking back while just reading.
And then just flop down on the pillow, still reading
Yeah.
silent.
So you flip through the book looking, just quickly to try and find where it mentions the fog, and you flip to a part of it where a few pages of the researcher's notes are missing. And then after that, there's the excerpt that says, I have seen it. The fog's not a passive force. It feeds, its hunger will grow, and it will seek to claim more than just the island. I fear I'm too late. Whoever reads this, beware of the shadow behind the mist. It seeks not to imprison, but to consume. And there's plenty more, so if you want to keep reading or you want to look up something else, then feel free.
Mistral will uh mention that passage, probably make a quick copy of it so that they can look over it while she continues to research. And then she'll move on to looking for, okay, there's a thing behind the fog. What is it? It seeks to consume. Consume what? Like trying to figure out, okay, details about.
Well, wouldn't it be magic?
Well, I mean, that was the blip, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's being consumed right now because if we have it back, it didn't stay gone.
Okay, you
Could
look
it be a
through it.
creature behind the fog controlling it?
So you look through, you don't find much more mention of what is behind the fog, but you hear, or the researcher kind of writes down little bits and pieces, uh, such as the fog. It seems it's not just a barrier, but something more insidious. And the text that the researcher seems to have been researching that you don't have in this book, and you don't really think of, but definitely repeats about this hunger and its drive to consume, and it seeks not just the land, but more vital, like souls or something. And then he kind of starts to ramble a little bit here and there. And then there's just a rather large note at the end of one of the excerpts that says, I'm absolutely sure it exists, but as far as what it is, I'm not sure.
Okay. Mistral will begin consulting the book again for anything about ways to either hold back the fog or drive it back or reverse it, whatever it is, something to ward it off.
Okay. Looking through, turning a few pages back and forward, and everything else, you do actually find something that mentions like a ritual. Though it's hard to tell if it's a ritual to cause the fog to go away or to
Or to
halt
summon
its
it.
progress.
Okay.
Yeah. But you do find something that it specifically mentions that. Hold on, I've got it in my notes.
Yep.
Okay, here it is. Though much of the ritual remains beyond my understanding, I've uncovered fragments that suggest the fog's binding can be undone. Should it ever happen, though the process could be dangerous, to say the least. According to the text I found, the fog was meant to be permanent unless certain conditions were met. It was meant to seal whatever this was. To reverse the fog, one must, and then there's some unreadable text, the original summoning ritual, but in reverse. The primary focus seems to be the convergence of murmur energies. The murmur was also unreadable,
Yep.
drawn from the island itself, and a bloodline appears central to the process, though it's not clear whether the blood must be willingly given. The rite speaks of a chosen's energy. Whether this refers to a person, an artifact, or some metaphorical power is unclear. What is certain, however, is that any attempt to weaken the fog must be performed at Urura when the stars are. Only then will the veil be vulnerable.
Okay, so trying to piece that together here. So the fog itself is not supposed to be reverted. It's supposed to contain whatever this thing is.
It's a seal.
Yeah,
Yes, but
based on your writing, his writing says it's meant to be permanent, and it's meant to contain something.
the fog is meant to contain it?
That's what he has written in his notes.
Okay, so the
It's
fog
like
spreading
sealing
is
something
not.
in.
Yeah, so the fog spreading is not necessarily a seal being broken, it's the seal being formed.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay.
And there's a bloodline central to the process of creating or taking it down.
Right.
Sorry, I'm going to text up in our Tuesday chat to our D&D chat while you're discussing.
Yeah, don't do it on Tuesday. That would just be weird.
Yeah, so Mistral would be kind of pulling Bannock into seeing what she is reading in these notes to
I
try
think
to.
I would kind of be
Mhm.
hovering over your shoulder as
Well,
well.
because
Yes.
Bannock and Mistral do a lot of spellcraft. So
Yes,
like
but
the
Erilyn being the
experimental.
bookworm.
Well, yeah, but the experimental side of things. So
Yep.
it's more looking for that to try to piece what. Okay, with this being the focal, what does this do? What do these other pieces do? What might this have as significance to the ritual? Um, Basically, the scientific bend of what would make this work the way this works so that we can parse what its actual intent is. And if it's meant to seal something based on the pieces of the ritual, what might it be intended to seal? Kind of a thing to kind of parse from the missing pages what might be in those missing pages. Just based on following the process of the ritual to its natural conclusion, scientifically, what would this accomplish?
And if you can figure out what those smudged out, not readable words are.
Not so much. I'm not really worried about trying to decipher the illegible. More trying to piece together the same information that might have been there through following the ritual and the ingredients to their conclusion, their alchemical conclusion.
Do, uh, based on the reading as it is and the bits that you can piece together, again, a lot of the notes and everything has kind of either been torn out or faded over time, and it's not really visible. So most of everything that you see, I did do the text dump in our D&D chat.
Okay.
That way you can kind of see that, because me talking, I'm me and I talk at the speed I talk. Just with the information you have there, it does appear to be a ritual of some type. It needs a focus. This magically and scientifically. You can piece together that it seems to be a barrier or a trap or a seal of some type,
Keeping
which was
something
mentioned.
within.
Right,
Yeah.
and the fact that it mentions reversing it to blank the original summoning ritual, but in reverse, means that this was caused by a summoning ritual. The
Mhm.
original summoning ritual, but what was it summoning?
Something summoned it. What summoned it? Where?
What summoned it and what did it summon?
Yep. That information is not there. I will, however, say that having read through this book and having these questions to yourself, you do remember when you picked up this book at the time, you just thought it was kind of something nifty because it mentioned a magical fog
Mhm.
things. But the person that you purchased it from had heard rumors that the person who sold it to them got it from someone that sold it to them, that they had found it in some ancient ruin on the southwest side of the island, somewhere along the spine.
Okay. So that's a location to look for to see if there's a ritual site or an artifact based on where this book originated.
And as you all are talking, Bannock,
Yes.
On what side? Sorry, Firebutt.
southwest. Somewhere southwest side of the island. They were not very specific because they heard it from someone that heard it from someone that heard it from someone. Just that it was somewhere along the giant spine.
Which is not far from us. We're at the foothills.
Yep. You are almost at the southwest end of the island yourself.
Yep.
So, Bannock,
Yep.
somebody else's voice that you do not recognize speaks up into the back of your mind. Everything seems okay now. No fog, question mark. I'm speaking for her. We've had to work on spells. And it kind of stops there.
I'll kind of like work
This
my
is
way
potentially
over the
hubby
bistro.
of Elspeth.
Yeah, if you want to move yourself, Nihon, we're all one floor down.
Yeah,
Yep,
you're the only
I-
one who's still up there.
I didn't realize that I actually moved myself, so
Yeah,
Okay.
you can move yourself.
Yeah.
Erlen's not up here either.
Whatever.
She is.
Erilyn
Well,
is
I
up
didn't
here.
move
You mean
Adeline up.
Adeline?
Adeline, yeah.
Yeah.
We said she was staying in her room because she's technically not here today, and we don't know how she'd acted out.
Well, I'm sure she'd be up here with us talking about this.
Yeah, she would definitely be in the convo.
So then, do you want to move her up here to the other pillow?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do it.
And I'm assuming she'd probably bring the
And-
blink poppers with her.
And this was a good maybe 45 minutes into you all discussing and Mistral discussing the book with you and everything else and talking about all this. So it took quite a bit for you to get that next message. The next sending.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to relay that stuff to us? I'm assuming the two messages from Elsbeth and unknown sender.
We'll let him figure out his response to it first. Give him a minute.
Because I realized he hasn't mentioned the first one to us at all.
Yeah,
Either.
and he doesn't have to, so.
That's why I was asking if he was going to.
Doot, doot. Of course, Bannock gets all the messages because everyone thinks Bannock is the one in charge.
Yep.
Well, he is Bannock. Shouldn't you know him?
Mm-hmm.
He's the natural choice for a leader. I don't know what you're talking about.
He is our leader. Come on, you know this.
Behind every great
When
man
really
is a
it's
great
Mistral.
woman, and behind her his wife.
Yes.
Wait, is it now canonic that Mistral and Bannock are married?
No,
No.
not even
kidding.
close.
No. But yeah, Bannock will kind of sit down next to Mistral, tap her on the shoulder, and be like, "You have a moment."
Yes.
I have heard. I have been. And he's just like trying to like speak like voices in brain messages.
All the shrubs keep
They've
Messaged?
they've been communicating with you. Okay.
Yes. And
Hmm.
conflicting messages is what I've gotten. One has told me I heard from our friends in Novale.
hmm
The fog seems to have reached there and also disabled their magic.
Is it still disabled?
That is a strange thing. I have received a second message from a voice I haven't heard that seems to indicate things are okay, but something tells me not to trust it immediately.
Considering that you've got two conflicting reports and you only recognized one of the voices, I'd say skepticism
Yes,
is warranted.
Was it her assistant?
possibly, but I do not know the
I
voice
feel like
whatsoever.
we would have at least encountered her assistant at least
Yeah.
once.
Yeah, you would have definitely encountered most of the people that work in and around her. This is definitely not a voice you recognize.
No, it is nothing. No voice that I've heard before.
Did they mention this mysterious fog?
They said no fog.
No, they
With the
said
question mark.
yeah. They
No
asked me if
fog.
there was no fog, and
The,
we have no
the co-
fog here, but I have no way to reach back out to them.
yeah,
Well,
because
we
that's
do
what his
see the
response
fog, though, right?
was negative fog.
Minus the fog, yeah.
Yeah, that was Bannock's first response was minus
Right.
the
Well,
fog.
we see the fog, don't
Well,
we?
above board, out of character. My initial thought right now is that whoever just responded to Bannock received Bannock's response to Elsbeth and not Elsbeth. That is what it sounds like, but unless Bannock tells me exactly what he said,
Yeah,
Mistral will not
because
make that assumption.
responding for her.
The way I think it's happening is they're out of spell slots just like us, so they're finding whoever they can with a spell slot to send the message.
To message, but that was my thought.
That was my thought until there was the no fog question mark. As though answering Bannock's no
Minus
fog.
the fog.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she would have told him what to say, and he's trying to repeat it, basically. Why don't we just go there and talk to them ourselves?
I don't think Mistral can teleport us right now.
Yeah, I can't
Oh.
send us anywhere right now. My reserves are tapped.
Don't we have
Should we?
permanent teleportation circle?
Yes, but she still has to cast
I
teleportation.
still have to cast the spell.
We do?
Yeah.
Yes.
To leave.
We don't have the magical piece of chalk.
Nope, that's not in this character. That's different.
No, you have the circle as a target to magical
Correct.
teleportation.
She still has to
It's
cast
not
the spell.
infused with the power of the spell.
Yeah.
I still have to use the spell.
To create the portal, you still have to cast the spell, and that links to a circle in existence.
We have an
somewhere.
anchor.
For some reason, I thought it was just like
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Nope.
because it
Nope.
was
Nope. That just
No.
means that we actually built an anchor that I can use the spell with.
I wonder if somebody in Stormvale could teleport us.
Well, and that was going to be my next thought is I think we should go down to the city and make sure that everything is all right there.
Out of character, is there like a mayor of Stormvale who might have some
There's
info
not a
as well?
mayor, but there is Mr. Alfred Spindle, who is
Yeah, he's pretty well known down there.
Maybe we should go down to check on the people, see if there's any more information.
Probably a safe idea,
yes,
relatively speaking.
yes, and this book seems surprisingly relevant to the current situation, so I wouldn't also be opposed to heading into the giant spine where it originated to see if we can get more information from that as well. Maybe after we check in with Stormvale.
I have a question. Out of character. Is there a way to make a copy of the book quickly so we don't take the original with us in case it's that important?
I can
Mistral,
transcribe the relevant pieces,
yeah, Mistral. She already said that Mistral was kind of
which is what I
making
was
notes and
doing.
copies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bannock leans in to Mistral and is like, relevant seems like a very odd way to say prescient, doesn't it? Isn't it, Mistral?
I think this all seems kind of relevant.
All
It's
these big
perhaps an
10 dollar words.
understatement.
What was that word you just used? Christian?
It's convenient, certainly.
Prescient.
Yeah.
Which
Neither me nor Cole knows what that word.
all right.
It's going over my head too.
Other similar
Prophetic.
words: prophetic, predictive,
Okay.
visionary. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yes,
Did that go over poor monkey brain?
Foreshadowing.
Yes.
No, I
it
mean,
means it seems to know things before they happen.
Mistral
Very prophetic.
has a
Yep.
pretty
Prophetic.
exclusive library of interesting things, and
And yeah, he would say prescient. It's fancy. Deal with it.
It is unlikely that this book would have found a home in someone else's library. It likely would have remained as a novelty somewhere and been deemed unimportant by anyone but Mistral because Mistral has an unusual fascination for
yeah,
things with air and wind and fog.
yeah, this is your wheelhouse.
And now that this is happening, Erilyn is definitely wanting to read the rest of the book.
Yeah, but Mistral would have copied down the relevant parts. And have a transcription.
Yep, it does. The book does talk about where he found this relic that had all this text on it that led him to the research that he did, and some of the lore and bits and pieces around it that I will text them to you later.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright,
Sorry about
we
that.
head to the town then.
Yes.
Okay, so you head outside. The birds are chirping, the insects are chirping. Everything
I'm still taking
seems.
Iris with me, by the way.
You're going to take your bun bun with you?
I am too freaked out not to take her with me right now.
Mistral will take a stop and encourage Erilyn to do the same into the chapel room on the bottom floor and make sure that everything looks as it should. Nothing out of place.
Okay, yep. I'll
Because that would have been a hallowed space with how it's been created. That would have been specific with that room. It would be hallowed.
Yep.
It is
Okay,
consecrated ground.
Okay, so how
Let's
would
see,
how would we
Erilyn.
check to make sure everything's okay?
You get a sense of the place. It definitely seems still hallowed and a holy place. However, Erilyn being the cleric and this being a room that you helped design and Mistral helped. You pretty much gave Mistral the plans for it, and Mistral made it happen. Uh, Along those lines, something is very odd about the table in front of you, the altar type thing. On the bottom of the altar, you don't remember this being there, but you can clearly see it. Appears to be something that looks like a dial that goes straight up and down. And beside that dial, there is a hole. And beside that hole, there appears to be what we would consider as what's the word? Roman numerals. So
Okay.
not your standard, but it is Roman numerals, and it currently has a VII on it. Pretty much, it says 7. It's
Huh.
not your standard numerical value, and the 7 appears to be some part of some type of mechanism.
Right, just for clarification,
Uh-huh.
you were saying dowel, not doll.
Dial.
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 Dial?
Like a gumball machine has the little vertical twisty metal thingy that you
Okay.
put your
Like
thumb
a
and your
or
finger on and twist it.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Dial.
It's a knob.
Minstrel,
Yeah, knob. There's a
We'll
word.
this
clarify then.
what is this? This wasn't here before. And
I
I'll
don't
point it out to
know.
you.
What shape
I'm
of
not
knob
certain.
is that?
This dial on the bottom of the altar, this wasn't there before. And
Yeah,
the
it seems
Roman
inset
numerals
in the altar as if
7?
it's part of it.
This
You
is
know,
not how we designed it.
Haven't found it
No.
yet.
Something is weird.
It,
Don't touch it. Don't
don't
touch
touch
it,
it yet.
please.
Cole,
It's
Cole
something
is already
really.
starting to reach for it. Pulls his hand back.
I will talk to you in Hidozi and be like, do not touch. That's how you know I'm feeling serious. Something feels off. It doesn't feel right. I know this is not how we planned it. This was not in our design.
Yes, and these numerals, even if we had planned it, we wouldn't have planned it like this.
yep, the numerals are definitely not your standard numerals. They're obviously something that's well known, but it's not what you would normally put for numbers there.
Right.
Why 7?
And the problem is with turning it, would we want to turn it up or down?
Well, it's pretty much a vertical knob. You can hold it and twist it either direction.
Right. So I'm like, would we want the number to go up or down? We don't
Oh,
know
I
what will
got you.
happen. We don't know if it's a countdown or if it's something else.
I'm gonna run
Find out.
to the stairs and yell up, Bannock! Can you come here?
Yes. Kind of hurry down.
And Mistral will kind of eye Cole when he said there's only one to find out. Well, we can find out easily enough it's a countdown by not touching it.
Still says 7.
So, like, I would want to give it 24 hours. If it's a day countdown, it'll change in 24 hours.
Because I'm sure if we're gonna want to go anywhere, we're gonna want to come back here first to
Right.
gather supplies and then probably use the ritual, the the circle to teleport somewhere.
So
Yeah,
Bannock comes out the stairs downstairs. You have made it downstairs, Bannock.
Hooray.
We are in the chapel.
something is weird about this altar. Have you seen anything like this? The bottom, there's this inscription, the dial, the Roman numerals. It wasn't there before.
Can I look at the back?
This is
This
different.
looks
While they're
Yeah.
doing
different.
that,
The back of the altar appears to be normal stone like the rest of the altar.
Mistral's going to tell Erilyn, I'll be right back. Don't let Cole touch anything. And she's going to run to investigate the teleportation circle.
Okay. You run to investigate the teleportation circle. It's definitely there.
No strange symbols, nothing added.
Nope. It looks exactly the
No.
way
Cole,
that you
do not
designed it.
touch.
No.
Okay.
Cole, please do not
We're
touch
in
it.
the other room.
Cole,
Cole, Bannock's in
Okay.
this
we
room.
should.
What do you
we,
mean?
we should not touch it.
Erlen, you're not
I'm
in
in this room.
Yeah,
Mistral was
Erlen's
the
there
one in
too.
the other room.
Your token's not.
Mistral
Yes, I
was.
Well,
am.
you
I'm
might
right
want to
here.
update the. You might want to refresh.
There you go. Now you
I've been standing here this whole time.
I
Yeah.
saw it over here.
Yeah, no.
That was Bannock. But yeah, okay, so teleportation circle looks unaltered. So she will come back and rejoin them in the chapel.
I have no idea what to make of this. This is strange.
This was not how we designed it.
No.
This changed. And
Something is weird.
I was telling Miss Mistral, this feels off. Something feels off.
I'll have Ivy guard the room and let us know if anything changes.
And
Okay.
definitely isn't going to tell Ivy to twist it when no one's around.
Right.
Better not.
Mistral will probably lock the door to the chapel when we leave.
Now, would you lock the door to the chapel with Ivy in there?
No.
I hate to tell you this, Mistral. You designed it with an arch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can she ward the door?
I didn't
So-
actually design it with an arch. You chose where the doors were, sir. I wasn't that micromanaging about it.
The architect that you said do whatever you want to designed it with an arch. How's that?
Yeah, because I wouldn't normally expect this to be open. But, you know, whatever.
I would have expected doors too.
It's a holy
Yeah.
place.
Well, yeah, but
And
I mean,
Why would you
churches
do-
don't have giant doors?
sometimes you want privacy when you're communing. You can't do that with an open door.
No, that's true.
It has a curtain.
Yeah, there we go. It has a curtain. Thank you, Cole. You'd make a
Yeah,
good interior
because
designer.
I would have made this a heavy door if I actually been asked about it, because
Okay, well,
especially
there you
with
go.
everyone
It's a
sleeping.
double wide heavy door.
Because with everyone sleeping right here, I'm sure the last thing Erlen wants is to be communing and hear shouting from the other people that live here.
Yep.
Okay, we'll make it a double door. It's a double
Okay.
heavy door. Takes up the same space, just
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Just for sound muffling purposes.
Let's go.
So to be clear, I feel like an uneasy, just things aren't right with the altar, correct?
But
What do
the
you mean?
area still feels consecrated. It's just there was a change there.
Yep, that is something. Everything still feels good. It still feels holy. You can still sense the endowment of your deity and all of that. You know,
But I
the
don't. It's just something about the base is throwing me off, but it's not like a magical sense of it feels off.
I mean, there's some kind of contraption that seems to be built into your altar, but beyond that,
Okay.
everything seems normal. You know, it's like this is obviously wrong, but other than that, everything feels perfectly fine. You just definitely don't remember that being there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we should touch it for right now. I wonder if anything else has changed.
Well, the circle seems untouched. Not that it helps us right now.
Kitchen's fine.
I didn't notice anything off about any of our experiments either in the lab. Which that would have been what I would have expected to be impacted, given that so many of them are delicate.
Cole's hooking up
Uh,
sources.
And I will say that all the experiments that you had going when that wave of non-magicaliness came through, started right back up, and you could detect no issues
Yeah, it
or
was
as
as
if it
if there
caused a
was
problem.
no interruption.
Right.
It's like it just slowly started trickling back in, right?
Well,
Yeah,
no, because the impression I got is that once they resumed, it was as though.
as though nothing had happened.
Yeah.
Lily, you should probably reconnect.
Yeah, you cut out.
Okay.
I'm wondering if I should take a look through my room and notice if anything else is weird after the change, because I would probably have some sort of stuff in my room as well, right? Being
Yeah, you
cleric.
have. Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be
it is your room.
surprised if everybody kind of scattered to check things after this.
So I'm gonna
Just sitting on the
poke
couch.
through.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
if
poke
you
through
want to
my
check your
room.
stuff, give me an investigation check.
Mm, I'm not the most investigative. Yeah, 14's not bad.
You don't detect anything out of place.
Okay. Well,
Can I? How much time are we spending doing this? Do we have time to attune to new items?
Attuning takes about an hour.
Yeah.
I don't
Uh,
think we'd have
Okay.
doing
enough.
all the books and stuff, if you're just looking around your room for 10, 15 minutes, not really. But if y'all want to delay going out, then yeah, you have plenty of time to
All right.
attune.
So I'm checking
Right
the
now we
reagent
move at the speed of
storage.
you all. The reagent storage appears to be all in order.
Okay, and then I will also check my room after that.
Okay, in your room, Mistral, atop one of your shelves that you have there. Just a moment, I've got to switch back over. You see, and it kind of startles you of the fact that you see it, but a small cage with a broken door that seems rather familiar to you, and it's just up there as if it's one of the curiosities that's there along the top of one of your shelves.
Okay.
Oh, fine, I'll go check my room.
Mistral will send another message to Bannock. Be like, Bannock,
Mhm. Yes.
I found evidence of our unfortunate occurrence in the night.
Coming.
It is quite dusty. Well, as dusty as it can be for, how often you actually clean your room because you can do it so easily.
Anything off in my room?
Nothing that you can tell.
I told you there was nothing.
Make my way up to Mistral and be like, yes, what do we find?
Mistral's going to point out the cage
Mm-hmm.
and be like, that's from the dream, and that was not here before, and that should not have been here long enough to collect dust.
Yeah. Panic's just gonna kind of see it and he'll look at it and kind of like slowly takes a step back, takes another step back, and he's kind of like slowly sits on the floor, just looking at it, not saying a word. You
Please
can
don't start
tell.
rocking back and forth.
No, but you can tell from the expression on his face that he's kind of like, ah, crap.
And the fact that anything in this room has sat long enough to be dusty would probably also be a cause for concern for Mistral.
And like I said, it's
I
really
would
easy
say
for you
so.
to dust stuff.
Hmm? But but Mistral has prestidigitation, and she is fastidious
Right.
about appearances, so that is
And that is very
extremely
odd.
unusual that it would
Like
be
I said, it would
dusty.
kind of startle you that it's there.
And she would immediately prestidigitation it to remove the dust.
Perfectly clean. Still has a broken
Is
door.
is anything else around it dusty?
No.
So it was literally just the cage that was dusty.
Yes.
Creepy.
Just pointing at it, he's just kind of like, why? Why is this? What? Where did this come from? Why is it here? Why is there dust on it? None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense.
And as he's asking these questions, you start to remember purchasing this thing at some random bazaar back on the mainland one time when you were on a trip there. And you just thought it was interesting because it had a very history story of being found in some famous ruin somewhere, and it supposedly held the king's crown. And a bird flew away with it one day, even though the bird was supposed to be in it. And it's a really random, completely off the wall retelling. But because it mentioned something about the bird knowing how to use magic that embodied the use of air, you thought it was a nice curiosity, so you purchased it.
So memories are starting to warp now?
Mistral is having so many red flags right now. Um, and Mistral
So it's
is
completely normal. It's there. It's just really weird that it was dusty.
but Mistral saw it in the vision, so she would be
You did.
skeptical about how did I forget having that? That doesn't seem like me. And it doesn't seem like me to not upkeep it if I did purchase it intentionally because of the story. That doesn't that doesn't make any sense.
Very
Um
uneasy.
so Mistral would like to, let's see, I don't really have a spell for this. Um I mean, I guess the closest thing would be roll to disbelieve, but I don't know how to.
Well, you can try and interact with it directly. I mean, you cast magic on it, which isn't directly touching. So
Right,
if
but
you,
she doesn't necessarily disbelieve its presence, she disbelieves the memory.
the memory, I believe that would be in this case. Let's go wisdom. I'm trying to remember which one is just
Saving
kind of
throw or
memory.
check?
Give me a saving throw for that.
Hmm, make sure I don't have anything specific with that. I don't think so. I think it's just a
Let me
straight
double check
roll.
and make sure that that's the right thing, because I gave y'all the list of stuff that I want to try and do.
Because normally illusionary stuff is intelligence, but emotional tends to be wisdom for most other things.
Now I
Like,
can't
I don't
find the
think you're
link that I.
doubting that it's here.
Right. I
It's
don't
more you're
doubt that it's
doubting your own
present. I
memories.
doubt how it got here.
Okay, let's see. It is. Yeah, go ahead and give me uh
Okay.
that that check, that save.
Wisdom save.
Yeah,
Okay. Watch me roll really poorly. Oh, hey. 19.
it's a pretty clear memory.
Huh.
Definitely seems weird that it was dusty, but now it looks a lot better now that you've cleaned it. But you definitely remember having bought this at the bazaar, and you just hadn't really remembered it until it kind of you saw it there, even though you remembered it perfectly well from the dream. The fact that you had it, maybe it was kind of a bit of the way waking up sleepily and everything else, and kind of just being disheveled about all the goings on, that it didn't really occur to you that, oh yeah, I've actually got something like that.
with a broken cage door.
Hmm.
The fact that I would have
Oddly
had it with a
specific.
broken cage door and I wouldn't have tried to fix it
Is a
is,
little odd.
yeah, that's so out of character. Um,
Maybe you couldn't fix it.
Hole actually covered it in dust as a prank.
well, and Mistral wouldn't have pointed it out to Bannock if she had any inkling that she had bought it because she wouldn't have freaked him out like that on purpose.
That memory slipped its way back in as he was there talking about it and saying, "Why is that there?" And then, just in the back of your mind, it's like, "Wait, oh, I know why it's there."
You guys coming?
I'm going to try to shake Bannock out of it and be like, we should go.
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry. I just was not expecting that. It's a little bit startling. Did you
It's
say that this was yours?
I don't know how I didn't recall it, but it seems
Why do I not remember this?
I
Then
don't know. I
it's not as if you hide these things from me. You tell me about it, all these purchases you make every time we go somewhere, and
right. I
I
don't
come along and say, "Oh, Mistral, don't waste so much money on these things. Not that
You
they're bad for
actually
you,
you
but
actually tried to talk her out of buying it, but she convinced you that because the bird could control air, you were okay with it.
yes, I always tell you these things. Like, where do how like, you keep running out of room for things, and it's
And that is what you actually remember, by the way.
yes, it's no, yeah, I told you about not buying this one thing because why do I remember this now? Why did what is going on?
I don't know. But I don't think we're going to find out by sitting around here.
No, no, we need to get going. I need to get up. I stand up and brush myself off and just
I will prestidigitation the both of us.
thank you. Oh, it's
Okay.
it has
Game
been a morning.
faces. Game
It's
faces.
been a morning. Yes. Yeah, let's get to work.
Yep.
Yes,
AKA,
Banana,
don't
you
show
are
your panic.
completely awake.
So we are completely awake.
Yeah, so Bannock and I will return down to the bottom of the steps.
I'll be by the cart waiting for you guys.
So y'all head downstairs.
Cole
Yep.
impatiently got the horses and the cart ready for us.
Yep.
Has the
Mistral is
crank
going
been
back
turned, Cole?
downstairs.
Has the what?
Has the crank been turned?
This is the crankless
What?
model. I don't know what we're talking about.
I think he's talking about the altar.
Oh,
The dial.
no. The dial.
Okay.
No, it has not.
So you head outside. It's
I
part
thought
way into the morning. It's a pretty clear day today outside of fog way in the distance.
I thought you were referencing old cars that had a crank to start it.
Yes, this is one of those newfangled horseless carriages.
That's why I said this is the crankless model.
Before I would have left the house, I would have spoken to Ivy and be like, please don't touch the dial. Would Ivy be able to understand us?
Yeah.
They are sentient. So yeah, I would be like, please,
They're smarter than
please,
your average bun.
Ivy gives a
Ivy, the shrub.
Oh, the shrub. Yes. Sorry.
So
I
I
was
would have
thinking
asked
Iris.
her,
Too many
please
names
watch,
that start with the same letter. Why do y'all do this to me?
please don't touch the dial and make sure nobody touches it, period.
Ivy gives a bow. And you heard
And I'll say
Cole
thank you.
specifically tell it to guard it and let us know if anything happens.
Let us know if anything on it changes on its own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just am imagining y'all traveling, You're like a week out somewhere, and then randomly running down the road, here comes Ivy coming to tell you that something's happened.
Yep. She didn't have a way to mentally communicate with us, so.
A bird flew in the window.
Yep.
So we move out.
Yep.
We get to use a map that we've not used in a really long time.
Oh
boy.
man,
Wow.
it's the clean island map,
Yeah, the clean map.
which should be less clean, seeing as there's a storm cloud and fog.
I mean, you can see the fog all around it.
There's kind of fog.
Yeah.
The island where everything hasn't gone to shit. Yeah. The island where everything hasn't gone to shit.
The storm cloud that we don't see though.
The storm
Well,
cloud you don't
I'm
see.
assuming
Yeah.
I'm assuming the cloud barrier around the island is what Firedale was talking about.
Yeah, that's the fog.
Oh, the full thing? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that big. I didn't think the storm and the big fog were the same.
No,
Fair
there's
enough.
no storm. That's just the fog out there.
Okay.
It's a lot
It's
thicker than it looks just
surrounding.
because I suck at drawing. But yeah, it is all the way around as far as you can see.
It
Quite
surrounds
a
the
distance
entire
out.
island.
Yep.
And remember, each square there is pretty much a day's flight. Or that's what it's supposed to be. So it's pretty far out there.
Okay.
So y'all are just up the mountain from town, having stepped out and started to look down the mountain before hooking up the horses to the carriage and everything else. You can see lots of people running down in the streets back and forth. It definitely seems busier from a distance, seeing the throngs of people that are down at this fishing town that does. Oh, never mind. Yeah, the constant rain, pretty much. Yeah, lots of people out on the streets running around. Definitely seems a lot more lively than normal. There are several ships that all seem to be heading kind of outward randomly, kind of in a fan pattern away from the piers that are down that way, heading southwest, south, and southeast along things. Uh, Definitely seems kind of measured at the distance that they're moving. Not as if they're going out for normal fishing, which they would kind of go somewhere and then throw down their anchor and just sit there. They definitely seem to be have an intent of where they're traveling at the moment.
Maybe going to examine the fog.
Potentially.
So y'all head down the mountain, and about an hour later, you get down the up on kind of a soapbox, so to speak, but definitely kind of standing up on one of the piers at a slightly raised elevation. Is Alfred. He is a human. He's the well-known fishmonger down here, and he's kind of the one who, when people have disagreements or questions or need somebody to make a decision about the general area, he's the one that a lot of people kind of listen to. As Mishtel said earlier, there's no real mayor of this little fishing town, but he is definitely kind of what you would consider the leader for the better part of at least the pier area here. All the fishmongers and the fishermen, know him by name. He pretty much knows all the fishermen by name, stuff like that.
So he's like the village elder
Yeah,
in a
kind
way.
of. Yeah, so he's kind of yelling out commands, and you go there, take that ship out, don't go too far, and yelling out to another one, take that ship out and see what's around the giant spine and everything, because they can't see over the mountain, whereas y'all are pretty high up and have a much better lookout. And y'all kind of come in through the main road of town here, and he does raise his hand and waves at you as he picks you out. you all are pretty well known around here, uh, and he's somebody that you've worked with before.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of speaks up and waves you over and walks up to your carriage and says, "So, how was your morning? We've had rough waters down here, so to speak."
I might be able to save some of your ships a trip. The fog seems to be around most of the coastline, even across the giant spine.
"Oh no." He kind of reaches up and rubs his chin. He doesn't really have a beard. He's got like a 5 o'clock shadow that never seems to go away. And he looks a little bit concerned about that. And he said, "We've had people down here trying to figure out what's going on. I sent ships out about an hour ago. They've gone out to kind of look at the fog that seems to have rolled in. This is definitely not a usual fog. At least the fish are still biting."
Apparently, we got word from Novale that it's
He
there as
perks up
well.
as you say that. "You've heard from Elsbeth? All is well?"
Bannock did.
It seems like everyone has experienced a temporary loss of magical energies.
It felt suffocating.
He nods his head very knowingly at that. Uh, you know, there were even fish that decided to take a nap on the water shortly after whatever that was passed by before they swam away. It was an unusual sight, but everything seems okay now except for that fog in the distance there. And he kind of waves out over the ocean towards the fog. "Any ideas?" And he looks at Mistral expectantly.
We have a small theory from one of my texts, but no concrete confirmation yet. I don't want to
Well,
get anyone's hopes up until we learn more.
He kind of says very enthusiastically and says, "I understand. I understand. Don't want to get the boys' hopes up down here, but if anybody's going to figure out this fog, our Lady of the Tower would surely know what to do."
Anything of consequence happened down here that we
Uh,
should know about?
Everybody was kind of startled when we woke up this morning a little bit early. Uh, Lots of people panicking, but as nothing's going on, it kind of settled out pretty quick. But us being fishermen and fish being the trade, this fog out there is kind of worrisome. Whenever you have a storm coming in, you expect a storm to come in. When you have fog rolling in the morning, or as the moon starts to rise at night, you know what to expect. A fog that just kind of sits there and stares you down. That's the sea being upset at you.
I would take care to maintain a safe distance from the fog at this time until we know more.
Yeah, I told them if their face starts to get a little damp, you've gone too far. I told them to go out and just see if they can see anything beyond it, because it's pretty thick at this distance.
Is the whirlpool something that we know about?
Yeah, you can see it
Yes.
very visible.
Yes, the two whirlpools in South Pool and North Pool are known geographical features of the island. Those are normal.
Yep,
Okay.
very normal. And the mist, the fog that you see there, the water is swirling beneath that, but the fog that's above it does not seem to be reacting to what would normally be some air and motion from the swirling.
That's
It
interesting.
definitely seems like it's pretty static and imposing there, as if it doesn't care what it's on top of.
Should we mention that potentially going near it could be dangerous?
Mistral is pointedly not saying exactly what the fog may be capable of because she doesn't want to start a panic.
Hmm. You just don't want
She's
them to go near it.
but
We
just
don't know, or should
very,
we just
very
say
firm about do not go near it, do not attempt to go beyond it.
I
it
understand.
may be dangerous. We don't know what it is.
Right,
So
which is why
Is that
Mistral
what you're
said.
saying?
that's
Well-
what I'm trying to.
Well, that was kind of what Mistral was implying with the we don't want anyone getting too close until we know more.
Okay.
But she was putting it in softer terms.
And Mistral
Yeah.
didn't want to say the big word dangerous.
Right.
Well, unknown is dangerous.
That's why I was saying, is Erilyn saying the word dangerous?
I never. That's why I said should we.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
Mistral.
out of characters asking
Mistral
that
That I
question.
spoke.
didn't know.
Nene was asking above board.
Okay.
Yes. Like, should we mention that it could potentially be dangerous? Don't let people near it. Well, we don't fully know.
We don't know that yet.
I did not actually say that.
Yep.
We have theories, but we do not fully know.
Yeah, and Mistral doesn't want to say necessarily what those theories are because she doesn't want to incite a panic until we know for sure.
So he goes about, he waves at y'all again as somebody runs up to him and whispers something into his ear. And he says, yeah, the crabs are still good. And then he says, I'm going to get back to my job here and I'll let y'all go about yours. Have a good day, and I hope things go well for you.
Okay.
And he goes back to yelling out random orders here and occasionally selling a fish as somebody walks up. Outside of everybody seeing a lot more lively and being a little bit more brisk with their walking and buying things a lot quicker. There's a few people who would normally only, buy like one fish for the day, but you see people stocking up on food and things like that.
It's
Lots
the
of
hurricane
salt.
prep run.
Yeah,
Find
pretty
the bottles
much.
of water.
The panic.
Buy
Yeah.
every crate of water you can find.
It's
And the
it's
packages of toilet paper.
it's pretty controlled, but you can tell that several people have definitely been shooketh, as Banana would say.
Right.
When have you ever heard me say shooketh?
I have.
When?
At least
have-
once, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have definitely heard you say shooketh.
We'll go with okay if you think so.
So y'all have made it down here. Everything seems okay-ish. Nothing really seems too out of place, again, other than the elephant in the room.
I'm a monkey.
When you want to be.
Yes, when you want to be.
So
Everything
what shall you do?
Everything looks like it's somewhat back to normal here.
I still would like to follow up on that potential relic, if it's still even there.
Where would we even start?
It was said to be in the giant spine to the southwest, which we're not far.
I mean, you literally live on the giant spine in the southwest.
So it can't be far. Like there must be a site, a cave, something. It honestly, it's possible our tower's on top of it. That's very possible.
Do we have anything more specific than just southwest?
Right
It
now,
would
that's
have been whatever was in the book.
I wonder if anybody else has heard the stories about this. Could have been myths told verbally
Ask around.
in the area?
I mean, we can ask Alfred. I don't know what he would know, but we
Oral
could ask.
legends? It could have been an oral legend from the area. Somebody might have some sort of a clue.
I also find it.
Like, go get Alfred.
Maybe we can chalk this up to maybe Mistral didn't think it was necessarily relevant to go after the relic, but I feel like she would have probably asked, at least initially when she got the book, hey, any idea what this is about.
Yep,
But
again, that was the information you got
yeah,
was, it was, from the person who sold it to him, and the person who
yeah,
sold it to him was somewhere southwest on the Giant Spine.
on the giant spine. Yeah,
Now, that's a rather large area to search all on your own.
yeah.
So, especially mountainous area, you didn't quite know how to fly at the time.
Mhm.
Are we gonna pull Alfred back and ask him?
I already went to do it.
Okay, you grab on Alfred, and he looks down at you and says, "Oh, what can I help you with?"
Come here, we have a question.
Okay. He calls out another order to someone else and says, "John, you take over," and walks down and walks back over to the group here.
Do you know
So,
anything about this?
Mm. I
anything
got a.
about?
I found one of the books in my tower. Mentioned a relic with writings that was found somewhere in the giant spine in the southwest. And it was from like the person who sold the book to him and the person that he got it from. It was an oral tale. Do you know anything about ancient sites in the giant spine that might be nearby?
Well, I know along the trade route down around, there's some sunken ruins that are there on the edge. Outside of those, I really don't know much about ruins and the like, but you can see them every time you cross over them. We often see them when we're heading up towards the Crab Pass and Kashi.
Okay.
They're right off the edge of the mountain. They're in the water.
All right.
So that's about all I can think of that's southwest on the Giant Spine. If there's something up in the mountains, you would probably be better off asking some of the dwarves over in Farrington. They would know a lot more about the mines of the island and everything else. I mean, that's their wheelhouse, not mine. I know the sea. I don't know much about the land. And he kind of gives a as he laughs
I'm
at himself.
well, I mean, dwarves and rocks do definitely go together.
He nods his head wholeheartedly in agreement to that they do, lass. That they do.
So, no other legends that you can think of?
Mm,
Oral
well,
tales?
oh yeah, I've got plenty of those. Have you heard about the two-headed worm that causes South Pole and North Pole,
I
or
did.
some other unknown beastie that the island grew over?
I did specifically mean about relics in the giant spine, but that
Oh,
sounds interesting.
yeah, I believe I've even told Mistral about that one once or twice.
Mistral would have absolutely told you the story before.
Yeah, that's a pretty well-known tale around here. But no, he doesn't seem to know anything about any other things up along the giant spine there.
Okay, so I guess our next clue is to the dwarves.
Well, unless we wanted to check the sea ruins.
I want to check the sea ruins.
So do
That
I
too.
actually.
What was that fire?
I said so do I.
Okay.
Check the sea ruins.
Yeah.
I mean, you know a captain that you've used the services before to get around places along the island back before you got really into using your circles to get around
How long will it
uh,
take us to get there?
to where
The sea ruins.
going pretty quick because I've sped up the time of the map. It's not as big, so you can ignore the day by goose thing down there. Maybe 2 days
Okay.
And whereabouts would you say this was on the
southwest.
map?
Do you see the little dotted line of the trade route for these ships that goes southwest and
Yes,
then
but
north?
you said near Crab Pass.
Well, on
So,
their way to Crab Pass, I'd assume it's this.
Yeah, it's along that area there.
Because there's two little blips here.
Yep.
is that the ruin? I'm asking where on the map.
Yes.
Because I'm assuming we would
Well,
have asked
he didn't
Alfred.
actually pull out a map and say there. He said as you go around up that way, they're there. They're in the water
Okay.
there.
Yeah, they're in the water.
Okay. So yeah, check the sea ruins. Otherwise, I think to the dwarves. But I'm assuming we'd want to go back to Thunderstruck Tower and prepare. This is out of character.
Well, I think we'd want to have possibly our full magical potential before we did a long journey to the dwarves.
Yes.
So maybe pick up some provisions and set out tomorrow morning.
Cole always comes stocked with provisions in his bag.
Yeah, Mistral probably wouldn't want to wait to go to the ruins because they're much closer.
Yeah, 2 days we should have our magic back by then. And swap out.
And also, if the fog encroaches, the ruins might get swallowed up if we wait too long.
Yes, but are we dragging Iris with us? Like, she's with me right now. We can't head straight there.
That sounds like a you problem. No, but in all seriousness, we can fix that. Like, we can go back to the tower right now and then head out to
Yeah,
the
because y'all
side.
were just kind of coming down to town to check on things,
Yeah.
so I'm sure that you didn't come
But
fully set up
I
with
wouldn't
your
want to
adventuring
wait
stuff.
until tomorrow to set out.
I can
Basically what
totally
I'm
Okay.
understand
saying.
that.
But yeah, we can make a quick trip back.
Yep.
Yep. So you can go back to your tower and go ahead and make for that prep, and then you can go and seek out Wade Stormrider, the old captain that you've used to get around before.
I
Yep.
thought Wade was out of Novale.
No.
Nope,
Okay.
this is Wade Stormrider. He's a captain down here that you all have used to get around in the past, and Mistral knows him somewhat
He's
well, though
Mistral's
it's been a bit.
contact. He's where I need him.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
So y'all go back to the tower to prep for travel, and we will go ahead and call it there if everyone's okay with that.
Sounds good to
Yep.
me. I think some people needed to take off early, so.
Yep.
Yep.
I have to get going, so.
So take care, Nihon, and thanks everybody for
Yep.
stopping by again. I know it may seem kind of weird how we switched over to a different set of characters entirely, but trust me, in the end, hopefully all will become clear.
Well, I'm
Rainbow
excited for us
appears with
to
story.
get to know these characters a bit.
Yep,
Yes.
definitely
That'll
be
be good.
interesting. So many characters with the same letters of names. Jeesh. So thank
So
y'all
many
for
Lins.
Yep.
I wonder if we'll have Allie next session.
Hopefully, I believe Allie
Potentially.
did say that she should be here next week. If we play next week, all should be good then, hopefully. Close crossed.
Woohoo!
So thanks everybody for stopping by, and I hope to see everybody next time for In the Demon's Grasp.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
And for those of you on my end, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening.
Alright, and my stream is out.
Bye-bye.
Mine's out too.